So, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode. Today, I want to start off with some questions from the audience. And if you'd like to ask us questions about either channeling or the afterlife or the spirit world, be sure to leave it in the comments and we'll answer it in the next episode. But before we get into that, I actually want to do like a quick confirmation thing with my dad, if that's okay. You didn't mention something about my dad that was very prominent in his life, and it was a hobby that he really loved doing, like basically all of his life long. So I'm wondering if he can tell you what that was.
This is a tough one because you did mention to me like certain things. So I've been trying to distinguish if it's that or not. But the scuba diving thing, okay, like with the water.
Mhm.
And then I'm also seeing like a lot of boating. Like on like it, I don't know if it's like a skipper, like it's like a certain kind of sailboat. It's not even like a particular, it's not like a giant boat. You know what I mean? Like a yacht. It's like a smaller vessel. I think it's called a skipper or something,
Oh
is what
my
he
God, that was spot on, Abby. Good job.
really.
Yeah, the communication is clear. He had a sailboat. When he was young, he bought himself like this little sailboat. I'll put a picture of it here. And sailing was his lifelong hobby, and he absolutely loved the sea, sailing, diving, like all of that was spot on. So that's awesome.
Like you mentioned the scuba diving part, but then like as soon as we started talking, like I said, I started seeing more about like him in the water, but then it was like this smaller sailboat, and I was like, oh, it's like a skipper, like a smaller, it's not
That
a
was
yacht.
that was
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted to hear. Like, I'm so
Okay.
happy.
Thank you,
Thanks
Dad.
for that. Okay, the communication is getting clearer. I feel like you guys are getting more used to each other or something. Some questions from our audience. So, the first question is, as a spirit, can one travel all around the world and see places never seen before?
So, yes, absolutely. That was one of the first, he's saying incidences of him reflecting on his own life and his own life experience was reflecting. It's almost like if you want to see like different postcards or pictures in a book, lands he had never traveled to that he wanted to experience in life that he didn't get to, he got to. Wow, this is interesting. Past death, to be able to experience and take a look at all these different regions, and I didn't realize your soul contract continues after you pass, but I guess it does.
Hmm.
And there are, if you want to experience other things, you can. So if you have no interest in what lies on this world, but you are just such a star seed and you want to just like jump to another planet, you totally can.
Nice. Okay,
Really have
good
to,
to know.
you lead, because you lead your own story, you lead your own circumstances.
Awesome. So this person says, I have a question for Abby. How does Sadie's father communicate with you? Like, do you hear his voice? And is it in English? Because he was a Turk, so did he know English in his lifetime? I'm just so curious.
So I'm getting that, yes, he knew English in his
He did.
lifetime.
He did.
Okay. So when I hear his voice, what it's happening is I'm not hearing it audibly. I'm hearing like it's like a thought, but with his character. And and sometimes I'll get his voice patterns and his voice, and his kind of laughter. And then it's always tough to like replicate it. But yeah, absolutely. I hear him, and it's when I was learning mediumship, that was the hardest thing to just accept. It's because you have to really just have put your own judgment aside. Like, is this my imagination? Or is this actually spirit? For sure, in a lot of mediums, it's almost like a thought that comes in your mind or just like put on your shoulder, and you're not putting thought into it. You're not really thinking on it. You're more just letting it flow. And the flow is tough when you're first like really learning it, especially as an adult, because you want to put I don't want to say negativity into it, but yeah, like you want to use your own ego and be like, oh, that was my thought, that totally. And that's a huge thing because like you will hear intuition, you will hear thoughts from spirits, and you totally think it's you, but it's totally them leading you. So it's interesting.
All right, so that's all the questions from our audience members. Like I said, if you'd like to ask a question to Abbie or to Spirit or to my dad, please leave it in the comments and we'll include it in our next episode. So
Sure. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you guys. So I'll continue with my questions, I guess. And let's see what comes through. Can you create anything you want in heaven? Like anything you can imagine?
So he's saying, and actually one of my other guides is stepping in right now, because he loves talking about this.
Go for it.
So basically here, they're both talking at the same time. I'm like, one at a time. So your dad first. Okay. So you create your own realm is the way that he's putting it. Okay. So you create your own reality and the comforts and joys that you have persistently enjoyed in your most recent lifetime. So like I said, it's not like all of a sudden, boom, like flowers and starlight and heaven. Everything is wonderful, everything is perfect, but it's like where you feel the most comfortable. And then my other guide is saying you slowly start to shed your humanness. He's saying it's part of the awareness, it's part of the contract, that as you become more comfortable with your spirit form and your spirit being, you start to realize that those material things, like you can build your own house, you can your dad's saying you can create your own amphitheater with stars and I'd like to see a shooting star now, but then there are places that you can visit and travel to in heaven that you don't create, that are very much in existence, that are in other people's consciousness, and you start to kind of delve outside the box of what you're comfortable with. So at first maybe you just want this like dream gorgeous house on the ocean, with the waves lapping the beach and the rocks and the windows open and the breeze coming in and everything's like perfectly clean, and white. If that's what you envision as your heaven, that's what you're going to have. And you can stay there and you can go back and forth as long as you want. If you want to build it yourself, you can build it yourself. You just need to think hammer, nails, and those things will be there. And if you want it just to be, it's going to just be. If you want to go through a realtor up in heaven, you'll go through a realtor up in heaven. It's whatever you choose.
So I have a question connected right to that. Do the things that humans imagine and create, like for example, writers, I want to talk about like Harry Potter, how they created a world of Hogwarts and all of that, the wizard world. Do all those places exist because we created them, like with a collective consciousness? And can you visit those places?
I love that question. Okay, so your dad's saying, yeah.
Really?
So whatever you desire and you envision. So if you're a huge Harry Potter fan and like your heaven is the Harry Potter world, you'll get to experience it. So I know for me personally, like I like to think my heaven is like, every first kiss you ever have with somebody like you're really in love with. I love that, just that moment of the first kiss, the first touch, and like just the vibrations that come with it, and where you are and how magical it is, and with people you're really in love with. And so like I can't help but go back in time to think about where I was and how I felt. That's more my idea of my heaven and what that's going to be like for me. But for you, you love Hogwarts. I hope that you don't end up in, was it Slytherin?
Actually, Slytherin is my house, so.
Oh, okay, Slytherin is your house. All right, well I hope you end up there.
Well,
It
no,
sounds.
but if I had to choose, I would be like in a heaven where I have so many pretty women like just all over me and they love me and they want to be with me all the time. That would be my heaven.
See, ending up with a bunch of men sounds like complete chaos to me.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound good. Can you hang out with anyone you want in heaven anytime you want, like dead or alive, or are there limitations?
Yes and no. Okay, so you have to remember that when you're thinking of anybody, you're thinking of exactly my guide is stepping in and he's saying everybody. So everybody as in the human everybody. Okay. So even when they're celebrity, right? Like we were talking about your dad with Robin Williams, like they were still human beings. What transformed them into celebrity is the thought process, my guide is saying, uh, for people, the intention from people, and the power of happiness with people that really propels, my guide saying, the relationship interaction. Now, because they were human, they also, there's scales of differentials, he's saying here, about what level of dimension they could be at. So, and what level of dimension you could be at. So a meetup is possible. Actually, that was your dad. They're jumping back and forth from each other. And he's saying people that are not on the same dimensional plane, it doesn't make them like a lower evolvement stat. It does make them a lower evolvement status, but there's no, that's ego. That's ego to think that they're lower than you. It's more of they just haven't learned certain things yet that you have. So whether that was, this is your dad speaking, whether it was in soul contract or whether it was an intention they set for their life, or like if they're stuck in their head and they just can't get out of it, he's saying, that's where it can get kind of, he's using the word tricky, so there are celebrities even that are just, maybe they might have been bigger than life here, but in the afterlife they're stuck in their head and their ways and not like ready yet to seek more help and seek more, he's saying, just like positivity and acceptance of the change. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you basically meet with people you're a match to, and if you're not like a match,
Yeah,
it's
you can
harder.
still have that interaction, but it's going to be help from your guides and other higher beings. And that interaction is not going to be just all your own interaction. It's going to be source energy providing you assistance with that interaction. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Another question is, can you experience any experience that you can remember from your lifetime on Earth?
Yes. So, much like I told you before, like in my heaven, I think of just those vibrations and those details that it's like, oh, I can't wait to like live that again. You know what I mean? Or just happy times. That's why I try so hard to live in the now. I really do. I really make a conscious effort too, because one of my other guides, he's coming in on this side right now. My old boss, Desi, I'm bringing up again. He always said it's only a movie. Life's a journey. He's saying, live in the moment. He says and then he's saying the moments of your life are what makes the movie. And so, yeah, you can absolutely have those moments again, live in those moments, feel those moments, just enjoy the hell out of them.
So is it possible that some people actually remember more what it was like to not be on Earth? Because for me, for example, I feel a lot of times that I'm yearning for an experience that I've never had, possibly will never have, but I'm just missing it. I'm missing something. I just don't know what.
So that has to do when we're born, we get completely washed clean of any previous lives. There are stories out there, and you can see them on YouTube, like of children that come into this life and they totally remember really traumatic instances. Usually it's really traumatic instances and people from their last life. And then as they slowly start to age out of it, usually by the age of 7, they've progressed. So, Eric's saying that when it comes to experiences that you've never actually had, he's saying it's very good because yes, you're feeling the cross-dimensional plane of possibly, like, people think that time is linear. It's a straight line. There's the past and there's the future, present somewhere in the middle here. And what's actually it looks like is very much like this. Okay. And you're actually having all these different trajectories of your current life happening at the same time, but different decisions that you've made. Your dad's like jumping in. They're going back and forth so much. Okay. He's saying you could be experiencing water. You could be experiencing, he's bringing up the ocean for himself, in a different lifetime. And like sometimes you'll get the feeling, my other guide is saying, of you'll feel depressed and you don't know why. And you'll be like, I have no reason to. Like, where's this coming from? And it could be because of a past life trauma, because time is an illusion. It doesn't exist. So we are actually experiencing past lives at the same time. It's all going like this. So my guides are telling me when I was 38, I don't remember this, but they're telling me it happened. They're saying that I went through a spell of anxiety and depression. Did I really? I don't know. I don't remember. But and it's because there was a lot of chaos in a multi-dimensional plane that was happening at the same age at the same time, and was forcing me in other dimensions that has a very ripple effect to feel that frequency. I know that's a huge concept, but it's true.
It's also a very interesting concept because it almost gives you back some kind of power. Like, does this lifetime affect all those other lifetimes if they're kind of parallel? Is there some
Right.
kind of ripple effect?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a ripple effect. And I'm seeing my hands like smashing a puddle right now, and all the ripples and the waves coming out like that. They don't come out in straight lines. They come out around your hand in circles. And my guide is showing me like that's very much the pattern of how these these different dimensions affect your emotional planes in different areas of your life. So if it's a dimension that's closer to you, it's going to have a bigger ripple effect than something that's, far away that has the smaller effect. But either way, things that are happening multidimensionally to you, because we're here, but in all of these different dimensions, we're also there, so time is an interesting thing.
That's a little too confusing for my human brain to understand, but
Mine
it's
too.
very
Mine
interesting.
too. And I go around and around about that. Like, do I actually believe that what they're saying? Well, they're saying it, so it must ring true on some level.
Well, I'm just hoping it's almost like, levels on a video game, and when you advance enough, like all of your past levels are kind of, I don't know, lifted, freed, alchemized
Here
by
you
your current level, something like
go.
that.
My guide is saying he's actually going, bravo, bravo. He's saying that's an example of thought coming into your mind that you are not actually like completely in charge of. That actually they're giving you the sensations and the thought process of that. But it's hard for us as humans with our ego to recognize it. So that answer right there is a prime example of you channeling and not even recognizing it. And your ego is not allowing you to see that, because you're thinking, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't got that. But what you just explained is supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. You're not going to just always hold on to all this hurt from all these different lifetimes and then feel it in this lifetime. As you evolve, my guide is saying, I'm just repeating what he's saying. He's saying, as you evolve through the dimensions and time and space, and as you create more lifetimes, you create more ripples. And as that ripple effects goes further away, he's saying that the lessons don't need to necessarily stay and be as apparent as the ones that are closest to you. So you release them. You release that energy. It's getting all released from the impact. So he says, I encourage you to recognize and challenge yourself to release those karmatic waves from different lifetimes ago and recognize them, people, he's saying, for what they are. They are experiences that you are feeling sometimes that are not from now. They're from then.
And do we remember other lifetimes as soon as we die, or is it something we can choose? Like almost like maybe I don't want to remember a bad dream, a bad lifetime that I had.
So my guide is saying that it really depends on the personality of the human and what they can accept right away. It's all a matter of you and what you can handle. So your dad, he was very closed-minded. Like as soon as he crossed, so he wasn't so like, oh, here I am. It was much more like I still have to maintain that element of control. He's saying that, yeah, you slowly start to release the humanisms and accept it more. And that's when you go out of the box more. And there's processes to it.
So, you know, when we're children and we imagine things like I used to imagine a lot I was a dog or that I was a whale, things like that. They brought me a lot of comfort. Are those things that bring you comfort in your imagination past lives or future lives?
Wow, you're getting challenged today because they're actually asking you, what do you think? They're telling me an answer. They want to know what you think.
I think yes. I honestly think I was a dog or I was an orca, and those were good lives for me, but I don't want to remember any human lives because I feel like they were all shit.
So you specifically, you are correct that you can become whatever decision that you want to be. So if you decide next lifetime, I want to be a cat and just lay around with my people and just be the most spoiledest fat cat ever, then you can choose to do that. Although pets do have like different souls, animals do have different souls. They all go to the same place. Most commonly, like creatures, pets and things, they come back. They don't necessarily like come back as human more often. What you could be feeling, Sadie, my guide is stepping in right now, is saying that you had a lot of lifetimes not on this planet. So you might have been on a planet that you are able to like soul jump into these creatures and experience like creatures. There's so many different planets, there's so many different beings. So my guide is saying, but to get back to your question, yes, if you want to be a whale, you can be a whale.
Okay, so how does the lifetime that you just had in our linear perspective affect what you're experiencing in heaven?
Okay, so when you cross that dimensional plane, just following what my guide is saying, you, depending on your personality, and you shed your perspective. So it can be a slow evolvement depending on your personality. If you're just like ready to go and just like, let me get out of here, like I want to go on my recliner, like I am good, then that's where you're going to be. And until you're ready to start like really evolving from that, you will. He's saying it's really all about your decision making, people. It's really about what you want to have for an experience, what you expect for an experience, and shedding, he's saying, those expectations of what that experience could be or shouldn't be, would be, and what actually is.
Okay, so I have a silly question. Do creatures like werewolves, vampires, witches, do they exist or are they just made up in our imagination?
My guide is saying, and actually my stepdaughter's spirit just stepped in because she loves this question.
Nice.
If you want it to be, it'll be. If you want it to exist on a plane that you can reach, it will. She's challenging and she's saying, what's tangible? An object you can pick up and touch and tolerate? What is your perspective of tangible?
Well, I'm just curious, do our thoughts really create realities that we don't even know about? Do our imaginations really create, other worlds?
This is huge because this is a big, huge thing. You've heard of manifestation. Okay, so yesterday was 8/8, which was the Lionsgate vortex that was like the biggest day that's opened. It ends on August 12th. So right now is a huge time for manifesting. So you can manifest and you can create whatever you want. So thoughts are not just illusion, people, is what my guide is saying right here. You can have whatever you want and whatever you desire. It's a matter of focus and feeling. It's a matter of already feeling that abundance. Easier said than done. Let me tell you from experience.
But
I work on it every single day.
but are there some things, like I'm thinking things like telekinesis, flying, these things that I can actually do them in my dreams, but I know that it's only in my dreams. I can't do it here. So are there things where we imagine and create that are like when we cross over, we get to experience?
He's saying that you're putting limitations on it, where there are things that are completely limitless. So you may be putting limitations on flying in your human physical form, but then there's astral projection, which is a very real thing, he's saying. So you can experience that vibrational frequency, and you can experience whether or not you want to accept it as an authentic experience. That's up to you.
That's an interesting point because, usually my dreams, they feel real, right? But I don't accept them as real because I was asleep and then I wake up. There's this linear thing going on. So are those experiences actually real?
For your authentic being, for your physical, like human dense form, he's saying, no, your denseness is dense. You're heavy. You're not going to be physically like hovering, but with your soul being, how he's saying, how is it that those are not just as real experiences? Because that's still you. This reminds me of when I made some big decisions in my life recently. I just had this question. So I was like, I asked my guides, I said, what is forever? What is meant to be forever? What is always? And one thing that they said was consciousness. Your consciousness will always be, even for people like that have Alzheimer's and things. It's just a matter of where that conscious decides to maintain itself. That has to do, they're saying, with a frequency level, a soul contract level. So if I want to astral project and I go into meditation, I could float around my room. How is if my consciousness, which is the only real reality and perception, I'm just repeating what my guide's saying right now, that is just as reality. That's where manifesting is so intricately important with anything that you decide to do with decision making. When it comes to making big decisions, he's saying, lean on us, lean on yourself to have these experiences. Let them go when you need to, he's saying, but also accept them as what they are, for an alternative reality to what you're trying to do. I'm trying to follow that thought. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I don't know if that made any sense because I was totally.
I think it's making sense. Yeah. And in fact, my dreams do feel real. So I guess I have to honor that it's not just a dream.
He's saying, yes, Sadie, honor yourself, my guide. He's saying, honor your reality for what it is. Yes, you're in the physical moment, but he's using me as an example about how I said, well, I'd love to go back to like every first kiss that I was actually really in love with that person, and before how it's gonna end, it's the frequency, it's the vibration that you're clinging on to. It's not the physical act. It's that feeling that you get in your tummy, that feeling of happiness, euphoria, excitement. Those are the feelings that you want to live with and that you can repeat whenever you want.
So I have a question specifically for my dad, if he's still around.
Yes.
Was heaven everything you were dreaming of and more, or are you disappointed in any way?
He's saying yes, more. Yes, more. No disappointment. None whatsoever. It's just this excitement that he has about just this like, wow, this like ever evolvingness about him, that more learning, more structure, and in the sense where he has so much he can, like, he likes reading. You can read if you choose to, or it can, the mind can just have it in your mind. But if that's what you liked in life, if you liked reading, then there's lots of books you can read. You can go through the Akashic records and read all the scrolls, and he enjoys reading. So yeah.
I'm glad. And is there anything you wish you could do that you can't do in heaven right now, like in your current vibration?
Physically hug you.
Oh,
Yeah.
is
He's
that
showing me you a kiss on the forehead, and that exchange, that feeling of touch, tangible touch. He can hug you, he can kiss you, you might get the tinglies, you might get the spirit bumps, but that tangibleness is what I've noticed very, very consistently. All spirits consistently miss the most. That, you know what I mean? You can manifest and think about that interaction, and it can be calm, but it's not the same. It's not the same. So people that are feeling negative, and feeling like, they want to decide to not be here anymore, I've noticed that when I'm speaking with them in spirit, it's that shock of like, I want to hug this person, they're hurting. I want to tell them I'm okay, and I can't. And that it's like you suddenly realize that those feelings and that still exists, but now you're not in the physical. You can't do anything about it. It doesn't actually go away. And now it's actually even a little worse because you can't physically do anything. You have guides there that are helping you grieve the process of that.
is that a main reason that spirits choose to reincarnate, or
No, that's not the main reason.
hmm.
That's not, because you start to slowly, my guide is stepping in right now again. He's saying you start to slowly realize that you don't need it. You start to, as you shed your humanness, you start to realize how tangible those things are, and how you don't need it anymore. Like you really come free of your body, of your physical. Like this, he's saying it's like a puppet. It's nothing. Uh he's saying when you first cross and you look at your body, you will never realize how dense you are until you're in spirit form and you're looking at yourself. He's saying it's almost like a wax mannequin. It's like, if you are here and you're feeling yourself here, and then you're looking at you, how are you going to feel about it? Are you going to feel like you're that? Or are you going to feel like you're this? Because I'm here. I'm me. I'm still me, but that's that. And now that's a mess. And you start to objectify, he's saying, what you really are. You start to, it's part of the process of evolving over. It's step by step. So a part of it is seeing yourself for what you really are. He's saying again, people, he says, we are consciousness. We are forever flowing consciousness. So the tangible, the physical, it's just so unimportant.
So are there any rules or guidelines about reincarnation? Do we literally just choose what we're gonna come back as, or are there some like limitations to that?
He's saying there's not much limitation to it. The limitations that are kind of like what we talked about before, as in you can choose to merge with a cat and be a cat and be part of the cat's soul, like a piece of you, to experience that if something is going to come out of it that you feel like you need. Same thing with a plant. If you need to feel that plant essence, sure, if you want to be a leaf, he's saying, but it's not, when you get to the other side and you're in that moment of like, I mean, sometimes you get to the other side and you're just like, I don't want to go yet. One of my guides, Jamiroquai, I was with in a past lifetime, like back in France. during the Marie Antoinette era. He's not wanted to reincarnate. He's like, I'm good. He's very happy, like in his heaven, doing his thing. He's saying right now, I'm very comfortable.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and he hasn't chosen to yet. And I keep like teasing him, like, yeah, you will. He's saying he's waiting for me again. Like, come on, I've been here so many times after you.
So hearing that it's a choice that to reincarnate is actually very comforting for me, and I'm sure many others.
It's really about what your soul wants to experience, because it's about evolvement. Souls don't want to stay stuck unless they do decide they want to stay stuck because they're stubborn. That's where we get third dimensional beings, which are earthbound spirits. Just for whatever reason, they're just stuck in their mind and they just can't see, and they won't see until they ask, more. So, if you want to cross and you want to hang out for a while, eventually there'll come a time, he says we all do, that you'll try it again. You'll try it again. Just maybe not here, maybe not on this dimensional plane, maybe not in this lifetime, maybe, and he says in Earth years, 600 years, it's just a matter of circumstance of what your soul wants to evolve to. He's saying it's not just about you. And you'll see that so much more when you get to heaven, which everybody can wait till it's their time. But when you get up there and you review everything and you see the blueprint and all of these alternative, it could have been this, it could have been that. It's such a huge wake-up call to, I was so in control and I could have done these different things. And it makes you think, like, I would have liked to have, or I would have not liked to have done that. And he's saying there is a desire to want to keep evolving, because you want to keep bringing up your frequency so that way you can be closer to source energy, God. We all are one, he's saying, my guide. He's saying it's not just about you. There's people that you love, like he's saying to you, Sadie, there's people you love because your soul is such a loving, kind, compassionate soul that it's just in you, that if one of your family members or close friends or somebody you really care about is like, I need to come back and I'm scared to do it alone, or like I'm hesitant to do it alone, and I want you to come with me because I need to learn this lesson. He's saying without hesitation, because you're at such a place of love and peace, it's hard for you not to imagine that person like wanting to help that person.
I'm gonna cry. That's so cute.
I don't know what I said. I'm gonna have to watch that back.
Yes, Abbie, watch it back. That was awesome.
I never know what I'm saying, and then I can see all these reactions from you, and I'm like, what'd I say?
I'm not gonna tell you, just watch it back, okay? Okay. So, let's see. So this is for my dad. Are there any challenges you're currently facing in heaven?
Yes. He is currently grappling with the idea that he wants to save people from their own thoughts and their own minds, and how he can do that, how he can help. So it's not a matter of he can't, it's working with his team and his soul family and the archangels. And, I'm actually getting Archangel Metatron right now that he's been like speaking a lot with help with his family, he's saying. I'm not sure what Metatron does completely here. Actually, that makes sense. Archangel Metatron is like the right-hand man for God, source energy, when it comes to teachings, learnings, and writing everything down, keeping records. And where your dad is so into teaching and reading, and he's spending a lot of time with them with the Akashic records, learning. So he's definitely talking to Archangel Metatron a lot about just like how to evolve people through process and what he is even capable of himself.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Dad. We need the help.
Always, 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 always. He's so serious sometimes.
Yeah. And are you close to your family on Earth until they also die?
Very much so. Very much so. One of my guides with his family, he is at first he was like all like, yeah, I'm in heaven. On the ladies, bring on the motorcycles, you know what I mean? He chooses nowadays to spend his time with his mom, you know, my guide and his family, and just like hanging on the couch, you know, just like doing the things after he did all that crazy wild stuff up there. Now it's just like, meh, he's not bored. He's at peace. It's just that's where he's comfortable. That's what he likes.
Awesome. And how does it work having connections and new relationships in heaven? In other words, is it easy to make friends or have connections up there?
It depends on the frequency, is what my guide is saying.
Okay.
It depends on the vibration. It depends on because we're on a multi-dimensional plane. Heaven, you know, being of the highest, but there's also like levels of intention with that, he's saying. So you can be in heaven and then it can still get better when you allow it.
I guess loneliness is not a concept there, is it?
No. Loneliness, he's saying is okay, your dad is actually stepping in now saying loneliness is a matter of state of mind. He's saying you're in control of your consciousness. He's saying you can accept your reality or you can not accept your reality. And that's what changes it is your perspective. What you're in control of is how you look at things.
So I just have two questions. They're very short, hopefully. But if it's long, we'll do another episode on it. Okay. So are there animals in heaven? And do you have any pets with you that have passed on?
Definitely should do an episode about this.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are a lot of pets in heaven, ones that we don't have here, ones that have been extinct here and extinct from other planets. So like the dinosaurs, they're up in heaven. You can see the dinosaurs. Your dad is actually an interesting character.
Why? What is he doing?
Uh, he just prefers to like lay on a couch and there's this cat that's with him. That's it though. Like he is
Aw.
not so much into having a whole bunch of fur babies. There is this dog. This dog he must have had at one point too.
Can
But
you describe the cat? Is there a description?
mm, so this cat, I'm asking him in this lifetime because it's kind of going back and forth with like its colors and stuff. So it looks like it's just been a companion cat that he's had in many lifetimes and comes back with him. So one of them is like a tiger, like orangey. The other one is just all fluff black with a little bit of white. Same cat, same soul, different physical.
It's really weird. He was the one that found her. He was the one that didn't want pets and found her and decided to take her in. And this is the crazy part. Like a month after he died, or 2 months, she passed away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, she's definitely still with him. And she's come in many lifetimes and many different forms with him. Like your dad just chills with her.
Oh, well, I'm glad she's there and keeping him company. So I think we'll end right there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you'd like to channel your loved ones or connect to spirits, I'll put all of Abbie's information down below so you can contact her. And we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks guys.
Bye.
Bye.